Session 1 of the Big Ten Wrestling Championships just recapped. We're going to be going over the results of this whole entire bracket and everything that went on, as well as one major matchup that very well could be the match of the whole entire tournament. Let's get right to the video. For the recap of the weight classes and what went down in the quarterfinals, well, number 1 Spencer Lee at 125 pounds had a good tech over Dylan Ragston. Foley also beat Dylan Shire, and Malik Heinzman had a good win over Eric Barnett. Then a big upset here in the last quarterfinal match as Devin Schroeder took out Liam Cronin in a sudden victory after they both got an escape. But then Schroeder was able to get to his legs and then get a good takedown over Liam Cronin. And then no major upsets at 133 pounds. RBY won and DeSanto won as well. So RBY was up against Chris Cannon in the semis and Lucas Bird is up against DeSanto in the semis. Both guys should win. We should see RBY versus DeSanto final. 141, Ironman and Nick Lee both look strong. Nick Lee, he had a tech full. Ironman had a pin, and Sebastian Rivera had a good win as well. No upsets here either though. So it's a Jaden Ironman versus Chad Red semifinal and Sebastian Rivera versus Nick Lee. Must watch match this weekend. At 149, two big upsets here, actually three technically, but first one was Kanan Story had a decision win over Yaya Thomas in tiebreakers after he rode Yaya Thomas out, I believe. Then Michael Blockus had an upset win over Griffin Perrier 4-1 after takedown, only let him up once for an escape. But then the big one here, Ridge Levat of Nebraska versus Max Murin, and this really started Nebraska's pretty much dominance of the Big Ten tournament. They won a ton of matches, their second in team rankings, like I said. But Levat started the match off with a really big 6-point move, a big throw, and then after that, it really wasn't a lot of points for Levat and really just him getting taken down and getting escape points. But Max Murin put on a good effort, but he couldn't really stop Levat after he got that huge throw in the first period. So ended off with Sammy Sasso going up against Kanan Store, Michael Blockus going up against Ridge Levat. 157, no upsets here. Ryan Deacon advances to go up against Kendall Coleman, and Brayton Lee is going up against Caleb Young of Iowa. 165, a big upset here as number 7 Peyton Robb of Nebraska took out Zach Brongo of Illinois 9-5 in a pretty high scoring matchup. But other than that, Alex Marinelli is going up against Cameron Amin later this evening, and Ethan Smith will be going up against Peyton Robb of Nebraska. 174, Carter Starochi, a very close matchup against Caleb Romero, but kept his hopes for a Big Ten championship alive as he won 2-0. Mikey Labrioli also won, so they'll be going up against each other. And then on the top side of the bracket, Michael Kammerer had a nice pin over Jared Crowder of Wisconsin in the first period, and Logan Massa with a pretty decisive win over Donnell Washington of Indiana. At 184, like I said, Aaron Brooks with that really good win over Nelson Brands. John Pazensky of Rutgers had a pin over Owen Webster in a pretty big upset. And then Taylor Venz also took out Lane Moswecki, and Christopher Weller will meet him after he took out Max Lyde of Purdue. 197, Eric Schultz had a pretty close matchup with Gavin Hoffman. Definitely shouldn't have been that close, but regardless, he got the win. Same with Cameron Caffey, pretty close win over Lucas Davison. Then Jacob Warner, nice decisive win over Thomas Panola, and Miles Amin against Michael Beard. This was a pretty interesting matchup as well, but personally, I don't think Amin should have won. He really got lucky as Michael Beard was winning the matchup 6-4, and then he slipped, and Amin was able to get a reversal because of that, and then he went on to win in sudden victory. So tough luck for Michael Beard in that matchup, but the semifinals is Miles Amin versus Jacob Warner, Cam Caffey versus Eric Schultz. And finally, at heavyweight, Mason Paris went up against Greg Kirkfoot. Pretty decisive win for him there, 11-3. Cassiope will meet him after he beat Trent Hilger, and then Christian Lance, good win over Illinois. It was 3-1 in sudden victory. Then Gable Stevenson just dominated through Tate Ordinoff. Really think he's going to win this heavyweight weight class. He had a tech fall and looked great on his feet. He was throwing in some tilts at heavyweight. Never seen a heavyweight throw a tilt in, so that was pretty fun to watch. But yeah, Gable Stevenson definitely going to be a beast to be reckoned with at heavyweight. Now, the match of the tournament so far was at 184 pounds with Aaron Brooks, the 1 seed, versus the 9 seed Nelson Brands from Iowa, Pennsylvania versus Iowa. And this was a crazy matchup. A lot of people thought Brooks was going to dominate, but got off to a pretty tough start for him. He went in for a takedown, got a go behind for Brands, so it was 2-1 after he let him up. And then Brooks got a takedown and an escape to tie it up at 3-3. So pretty interesting going into the second period. A close match, a lot closer than people anticipated. But people still thought that Brooks could win that matchup. But then here's where it got super messed up. Brands went for a stand-up, was up, he got out, and Brooks kind of fell on his ankle the same way that Nick Soriano did against Piccinini a few years ago back when he was wrestling for Penn State. It was a pretty interesting parallel. That's all I could think about. While Brooks was kind of limping on his ankle, and a lot of people thought he wouldn't be able to compete. But came back, was able to wrestle, but it was Brand's choice, so he chose down 5-3 after he got an escape, and then he hurt his ankle again, but was able to come back for his second time after using up a lot of that injury time. Then he got a few takedowns, escapes here and there to close the gap between him and Brands to 7-5. So he chose bottom in the third period, had a good escape off of kind of like a switch, made it 7-7, and then an escape by Brands made it 8-7. Then Brooks just really wrestled well in that whole entire third period and got a big throw, put Brands on his back, and got a 4-point near fall, and ended up winning the matchup in a pretty crazy win for Aaron Brooks. The rest of Penn State didn't do that well. They went 11 for 17, I believe, while Iowa, Nebraska, those schools did really well. Iowa right now is at 60-something points, while Nebraska's in second with 49-something. Yeah, let's wrap up our recap of the results of Session 1 of the Big Ten Wrestling Tournament. Big 12s are also streaming, and the semifinals is coming up. I think it's 15 minutes away at the time I'm recording this, so make sure you're staying tuned to that. But yeah, let's wrap up our video for today.